This episode of the podcast is brought to you by From Within Records, the final installment in the trilogy, a From Within Records exclusive, the One Scene Unity Hardcore Compilation 3, featuring Not One Truth, Hellbound, Never Again, C4, Chemical Fix, Search for Purpose, Stiff Meds, Fool's Game, Contention, Buried Alive, Live It Down, Gridiron, Adrian, Broken Vow, Nothing But Enemies, Submit, Killing Me, and Wreckage. Also, and still, a 12-inch EP coming summer 2022 by Envision. I love that band. I love being straight edge, and I'm very much looking forward to that record. If you're not following From Within Records on social media, please go boot up your Twitter, your Instagram, click that follow button to stay up to date on all the current news. And like I always say, please support From Within Records because they support us. If you're looking for high quality merch for your band, for your business, go hit up my friends over at Good Fortune Printing out of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. You can follow them on Instagram at Good Fortune Printing. You can also contact them via email, contact@goodfortuneprinting.com. They have been printing a lot of awesome merch. We've done all our collab tees with Good Fortune, and they will be printing all of our future collab tees. So shout out Good Fortune Printing out of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Before we get into today's guest, I want to send my regards to Hot Issue. This is a strange thing. I've been into K-pop since it was like May 2020 or April 2020, somewhere around there. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly, but somewhere around then. And somehow all the groups that I've gotten into over the years have managed to stay together, except for Hot Issue. They're the first group that I've invested in that has broke up, disbanded. And it was kind of a shock, a couple days away from their 1-year anniversary. But I'm sure their entertainment company, has reasons why they decided to disband the group. But it's a huge bummer. So I've been listening to a lot of Hot Issue lately just because their music to me was high quality. I felt like they definitely stood out amongst a lot of these newer girl groups, but definitely a huge bummer to see them go. But for anyone who isn't familiar, please go listen to Hot Issue, go watch their music videos, their live stages, because in my opinion, they were gone far too soon. But also on a happier note, I want to say thank you to everybody who came out to Program to see Last Straw, Higher Power, Take It to Heart, Firestarter, Major Pain, Secret Anxious Set. It was truly amazing with the amount of support that all of you showed out. Packed out Program on a Monday night. All the bands had a great time. Everyone that I talked to seemed to have a great time. There were 0 issues, so I'm very humbled and I appreciate everyone that came out to support the show that night. We will do it again. I got a lot of great feedback. I'm working on some stuff, so I'm trying to put some more cool stuff together. But I just want to say thank you again. It was an amazing night, something I will never forget. Last Straw, Higher Power, in Program, wild night. Okay, so today we had to track down Will Hirst. He plays in some amazing bands. He plays in Restraining Order, Maniac, All Due Respect, Sentinel, formerly Violence to Fade. Such an amazing band. If you are not familiar, go listen to Violence to Fade. They were super sick when they were active. But it was an honor for me to finally be able to sit down with Will and pick his brain. He records a lot of awesome bands out of Western Mass. So for anyone who's not familiar with Will, I hope all of you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. So please strap in, enjoy this conversation. Without further ado, welcome Will Hirst to the show. All right, and we're live. Welcome to the podcast. Will, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to finally have you on the podcast because I've been a fan of the bands that you play in for a long time, but also of your studio because you've recorded so many bands that I listen to this day. So this is a real treat for me to finally have you on the podcast.
Oh, thanks, man. That's awesome. I really appreciate those kind words.
So for me being curious, I don't even know where you're like actually centrally located. I just kind of know like the area just based off the bands that you play in. Can you just give a brief, rundown on where you currently are at?
Sure. Yeah, I live in Western Massachusetts. I live in a small town about a half hour outside of Springfield. So for people that don't know Massachusetts, Springfield's like kind of the I guess the center of Western Mass. Like we live in the Springfield metropolitan area, I guess you could say. And I live in kind of the rural area of it.
Okay, and is that where you grew up, or is that just somewhere you ended up on later on in life?
Yeah, I pretty much have lived in Western Mass most of my life, pretty much since I was a kid. I lived in a town called Northampton, which is like 20 minutes north of Springfield. It's college town. I guess it's technically a city, like a small city, but it's like, yeah, like 30,000 people or something.
Oh, wow.
And I pretty much, yeah, I've lived in this area ever since then. I've never really moved out of Western Mass. So that's kind of my life story right there.
Okay, and I'm just curious, how did you get into the audio business? Is that something that you've been fascinated with growing up, or is it just something that just kind of came along the way randomly?
That's a good question. I guess just I've always had an interest in like the way records were made, even like as a kid. Watching like documentaries and stuff like on bands. Like I remember having this DVD, this like Metallica DVD. It wasn't some kind of monster. It was before that. It was when they were making the Black album. You're in the life of Metallica or something like that, and it's a whole documentary about them making that record. And like I remember watching that as a kid, and like watching random like VH1 shows and stuff, and just kind of seeing how bands make albums and stuff. But the thing is, I was always really intimidated by the technical side of things. So like I didn't really get into, like, I didn't go to school for recording or anything like that. I didn't really like have an interest in like learning all the like fundamentals of recording until way later. But kind of at an early age, I had like a 4-track when I was in like middle school, I think. Yeah, I think I was in like 8th grade when I got a 4-track. So I fucked around with that, but I didn't really do much more than that until way later, until college. And I started getting into like more digital recording and stuff. It's so accessible now. Like anyone can, learn how to record something.
100%. I remember my buddy got a Mac laptop like back in the day, and he was like, "Hey, have you heard of this thing called GarageBand?" And my mind was just blown. I was like, "Oh, dang, you can actually just do that off your laptop." Because, in my perspective is always like, "Oh, you had to go to a big studio and it had to be this big, production." But then when he got that laptop, it just kind of opened my eyes. Like, holy shit, technology's come a long way, and we can literally record something out of your bedroom just having this laptop. And it wasn't going to be the best at that time, but it just kind of opened my eyes that you didn't really need to have a whole big production to get something going.
Dude, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember using GarageBand for the first time in high school. It was like a video audio course, so I guess that was kind of like a early introduction to I guess media production that I had when I was like a sophomore in high school. And that was the first time I used GarageBand. I was like, this is awesome. I remember everyone was making videos and stuff, and I would just sit there all day fucking around on GarageBand, like with the loops. And I don't know, it was so easy. Everything sounded so good. And I don't know. So I guess that was kind of an early introduction to that world.
And you mentioned that you didn't go to school to learn how to do what you're doing. Where did you source all the information to get better at your craft? Because I'm sure it had been like a big learning curve for you since you were on your own.
Oh, for sure. I mean, luckily now, like, I always like kind of like when I want to learn something, regardless of what it is, I tend to like fixate on it and just kind of fucking like just find out anything I can. So really, I mean, like, luckily when I started about now, it's like 10 years ago, I think, when I started really like collecting gear and like trying to record shitty demos and stuff. I mean, YouTube is like a huge help. Message boards, like there's just endless resources on the internet to learn, you know, the fundamentals of recording. And I kind of just obsessed over it for a year, and really just luckily having been in hardcore, playing in bands, making friends and stuff, there's never like a shortage of bands that need like a demo done or like a song recorded. So luckily where I was at, I was able to just talk to bands, be like, hey, like, you know, like, you want to record a song for free or like $50 or like give me like, buy me like pizza or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you know, it really, and I think that's, if, you know, not to give like jump ahead and like give advice to kids, but like if you want to like work in audio or record bands and stuff, just do it. Like like you can read all you want, you can learn all you want, you can go to school, but like I think anyone will tell you that experience is everything, and just practicing and just doing it is the best way to learn.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in this constant kind of like spot where I'm like, I need to get better at my craft, because you know, when I do this podcast, everything was, you know, taught to me through watching YouTube videos, reading, you know, endless threads on Reddit, and I just am constantly having to like figure out, you know, these troubleshoot issues that I have. Like earlier today, this is me peeling back the curtain. I was like, you know, mixing and mastering this, you know, podcast, and I don't know what was going on with the program that I was using, but it was just not working the way that it normally does. It was like fucking up my audio, just like making everything, well, supposedly making me just sound so blown out and just really bad. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And luckily there was like an option to use like a reference track, so it could kind of, you know, like, you know, see those levels to kind of generate what I want. And I don't know what I used the reference track, and it just sounded perfect after that, but I could not understand why my audio sounded so different when I've been doing everything the same up until like that point where my audio was just sounding so shitty, and like I don't even know what was going on. So I have to like, that's like my new thing. I have to like go figure out why my audio sounded so bad when I don't even know where like this, like the root of the problem is, or even where to start to look. So it's just like, okay, cool. Here's a new challenge that I have to learn, which is fine, but it's just kind of frustrating at the same time, because I just, right now, I don't know where to start.
Dude, I know the pain. Like, I know everything you just explained. Like I've been through it. It sucks, man. Like there's like I said, I'm not the most technically inclined person. I've never been like a computer whiz or anything like that. And like so much of audio making now is computer based, like learning how to make your computer not crash when you're recording like 30 tracks at the same time. But yeah, I mean, luckily there's a YouTube tutorial for everything. You know, and I'm sure there's like some like old like Luddite out there that's like, oh, fuck this kid, you know, he doesn't know shit. Back in my day when we used to splice tape and all this shit, but it's like, I don't know, you got to keep up with the times, I guess. But yeah, I don't know what I'm rambling about now, but I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
Yeah, but luckily, shout out to YouTube. YouTube, the way YouTube is, just like the normal YouTube, I'm surprised that it's free, because there's like, I've learned so much from YouTube, just like basic shit. Like even I remember I got this new job back in the day, and like part of the uniform was we had to wear a tie. I was like, I've never tied a tie before, and like before my first shift, I was like, all right, I got to go on YouTube. Like, how do I tie a tie? And sure enough, there was some random guy teaching me how to tie a tie before my first shift, and it's helped me change my, like, I used to have old Honda when like I would have like these, like, not like major fixes, but things that were wrong with my car. I'd go and look on YouTube, hey, this is wrong with my car, how do I fix it? And sure enough, it's crazy how helpful that thing has been like throughout my entire life.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how to tie a tie, but there is zip up ties now, and those things are awesome.
Really?
No one will ever know.
Okay, I gotta look into that, because I've obviously heard on like clip-on ties, but I've never heard of a zip up.
Clip-on ties.
Okay.
Yeah, those clip-ons are kind of whack. I mean, they're not very like durable. But the zip up ties, no one will know.
Okay, all right.
They just have metal in them.
All right, I'm gonna tap into that and check it out. Okay, I want to talk to you about one band. Well, we're going to talk about a couple of your bands, but there's one band that was supposed to play FYA that didn't, and I can't remember the reason, but I'm talking about All Due Respect.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for our singer Brandon. He had some work related things he had to take care of last minute. It is what it is, like it would have been cool. I think that fest would have been really good for us. But luckily, I think I played, I forget how many sets I played that weekend, but it was just one less set for me to worry about. So I was kind of happy. And it wasn't anything like serious though. There's no emergencies or anything other than him having some work stuff he had to take care of. So
yeah, and that was the one band that I was telling everybody, like, yo, you have to show up for this set, this band's so sick. And I was so pumped, and I obviously missed out. And then the opportunity, it just seems like more rare these days. Obviously, like you guys were playing that show in New York with Gulch and all those other bands, which is awesome. Yep. I'm happy to see you guys getting out there again and getting in front of new people. But that was just like one set I was like really bummed about. Like, damn, like this band just happened to be the one band that was at the top of my list of newer bands that I haven't seen yet that I was excited to. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, I know. I honestly, like, turning down a fest like FYA is like, dude, like, it's like it sucks because like there's a million bands that probably want to play FYA. Like, it's probably my favorite fest. Like, it's such a blast. And I feel like our set would have went over really well, but yeah, it sucks. I know there was a handful of people that wanted to see us, and I feel bad. Hopefully we can make it up. Maybe if we're still doing shit. Me and Lumpy have been writing. Well, not recently, but we wrote a few riffs and some songs and stuff. So we might have something out by next FYA if there's any interest in us playing.
Okay.
So,
well, that was gonna be my next question, because it's been a minute since the demo came out. So I was curious if there was going to be more music coming. So I'm happy to hear that you guys are at least kind of working on stuff here and there.
Yeah, as much as we can. It's definitely like probably my least like active band, but I wouldn't rule out another small release, maybe like an EP or something, or like a promo tape or something. Could happen.
Okay, for sure. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that. If and when it happens. And I want to talk about Maniac, which is awesome. I've seen you guys a couple times. I'm trying to think if I remember correctly. I think the first time I saw Maniac was in Boston. It was a Edge Day show. Violence to Fade's the last show.
Oh wow, yeah. That was the kind of the cursed Edge.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was weird vibes. Yeah, I remember, because I'm obviously I'm friends with Keith. Everybody's friends with Keith, but
sure.
Yeah, I went out to meet him for the first time, because we were in a group chat together, and I remember him kind of breaking down like the weird vibes. But I still had a good time. There's still awesome bands that played that show, so I was still happy to make it out.
the lineup was awesome. Like, you know, if you put that lineup, I think in like maybe like somewhere else, like I don't know, like Jersey or Pennsylvania or something, like that should probably would have popped, you know. But I think Boston was just in a weird period at that time. Like I think that transitional period, because like it was kind of right before the scene that like I guess Restraining Order is kind of a part of, like just whatever's going on in Boston right now with like all of Vantage Points, Pummels, and C4s and stuff like that. I mean, those bands were playing, I think, at that time, but it hadn't quite like come together, and there wasn't like all the new kids there are now. So I think like that show was just in that weird interperiod where, it just wasn't enough kids to like appeal to. So it is what it is,
for sure. But I've always been curious about Maniac, because it seems like when I look at the band, it's not a full-time band, but somehow Maniac has managed to stay relevant over the years, even though they're not. You guys aren't super active. You guys aren't doing these big tours. But it's cool that you're able to put out these releases, these splits with these newer bands, but also have it pop off, because like I've said on the previous podcast, normally like sometimes when bands do splits, one band will probably have like a nice trajectory from there, then the other band will either like fade into obscurity or just kind of just be stagnant. But when I look at like the splits that you guys have done, it's like you guys have kind of done these splits with bands like right before they pop, so you guys like have like this ear to grab these bands right before they get big. So I'm just curious how you guys have managed to stay relevant throughout the years.
I think we just we've always kind of just done our own thing since the beginning. Like Maniac's been a band now, like people probably don't realize, like, because I mean I first started it as kind of a joke band the first few years of it, and then I kind of like made it a little more serious maybe almost 10 years ago. The splits always just like are like we luck out, because I think we've done 2 now. Like Seed of Pain was just like Lennon really dug the Maniac LP, and he just asked if we wanted to do a split, and I love Seed of Pain, so that was a no-brainer. And the Spy split was kind of facilitated by Sam Triple B, and I like Spy, so I was just like, yeah, fuck yeah, that'd be a cool split. And they were getting a lot of attention at the time, way more attention than us. So I was like, damn, like they want to do it with us, that's awesome. Like they could probably do it with a bigger band. I don't know, we just never really like fronted, that's a weird way of putting it, but like we don't really like I mean I write all the music. It's just basically just my like just me writing like the hardcore I would have wanted to play when I was younger. It's just like I don't know, I don't really pay attention to trends or anything. Kind of just do what I do. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I mean, we've had some ups and downs and all that. We've played good shows, bad shows. Kind of just, I don't know, just exist.
Yeah, well, it's cool to know that you guys are still doing stuff, and the split came out like last month at this point, which is awesome. But outside of the split, are you even working on like maybe a next record or an EP?
I have a few songs written, because I actually I originally kind of attended the last that Spy split kind of to be the last Maniac record. Not necessarily not like we're gonna have like a breakup or anything like that, but just like I knew we weren't gonna be like a totally active band, and our guitar player Tyson is moving across country now, so we probably won't be playing as much. But I have like a bunch of songs that have been written for a few years now that I could probably like fluff out to make like another LP, or at least like some kind of 12-inch EP. So it could happen. I don't know when. Probably won't be anytime soon, but yeah, it could definitely happen. I could see another Maniac record down the road.
Okay. Well, I feel like that's just kind of continuing the trend of Maniac, right? Because you guys will put something out and then go about your business and then just kind of pop back in, but still be relevant. Like I've never felt like when you guys have put something out that like, oh, this band's like sounding out of place. Always just felt like cool, like they're back, like this music's still awesome.
Oh yeah, man, thank you for those kind words. I never really like thought of us as being relevant, but I think all of us just keep our ear to the ground, and I mean we just kind of do our thing regardless of what's going on in hardcore, you know.
And does that ever, or do you ever get influenced when you're working with bands? Because obviously you record so many different types of bands, so you get all these different sounds coming in. How do you not let that part of your life influence the other part where you have to create the music?
That's a good question. Not so much like influence me musically or like the shit I write, but certainly like different like production techniques and stuff, like working on different records, different ways of like engineering and stuff. But I don't record too many bands that sound like Maniac or I mean, like, a handful here and there that I guess share similar influences, but yeah. So I guess more technical stuff I get influenced by, but not so much like the bands I record, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I don't know what it would be like for me if I was like in that chair and having to hear all these different types, because I would be curious, right? Because obviously you get to hear a lot of this new music before it gets released to the public, so you're kind of getting to witness like the trend before it happens, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I mean, it stresses me out sometimes having like these like records on my hard drive that like I know people are excited for. But I like to treat every band kind of the same though, like I try to respect everyone's creative vision. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't certain records I work on that I'm more excited on than others, but yeah, I guess I'm fortunate to be able to hear a lot of this stuff before it hits the street.
And have you ever been in a situation where you are recording a band and personally you just absolutely hate the music, but you just go through with it anyways? And also, you don't have to name the band, but I'm just curious, have you ever been in a situation like that?
Yeah. Not often, but very rare. Like I can usually appreciate something about every band I record. But I've definitely had like a few that come to mind that were like, what the fuck is this? Like usually like kind of like people that have really like most of the band maybe might not have a connection to hardcore or punk, and like there's just like, I don't know. Yeah, it happens. I try to make the best of it. I try to like just my job's to make them like not only sound good but like just sound how they want to sound. I try to fulfill everyone's creative vision. It comes with the territory. I'm lucky though. I mean, I'm not as like there's some recording engineers who do it like for a living, like a real living. I kind of do it as a side gig, but I know like there's a lot of recording engineers that have to like record like a lot of shit they're not into just to make ends meet, and that's not the position I'm in. I'm very fortunate that most of the stuff I record is tolerable.
And have you ever wanted to take that step to make it your full-time gig, or do you just appreciate it and just like it as a side hustle?
Yeah, I mean, I think down the road, possibly. But I think I've come to realize in the past year, like really recently, that like I would have to give up probably like touring with bands if I wanted to do it full time. It's just too much to like balance playing and recording. I know there's like people that do it. Like there's a lot of. I mean, I'm trying to think. People like I don't know, big names, like Kurt Ballou and shit can do it, but like for me, I'm on such a small level where it's like I'm, I got to focus on one thing. I can't do both. So I would like to, I want to do both, but like one thing's got to take over, the other. So I think my focus more is playing with bands than recording, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, because trying to have to find that perfect balance, it can be really hard, especially when currently it's your side gig and not your main gig. So to have to try to like rebalance everything to try to make that adjustment, I can totally see how that could be like not trouble, but just a lot to take on right now.
Absolutely.
Okay, and want to ask you about Restraining Order, awesome band. Just curious, when you guys started this band, did you have any idea on like where it was going to end up today? Because pretty popular band, awesome music. You guys are doing a whole lot, which I'll get to. But I'm just curious if you had any kind of vision for Restraining Order in the very beginning.
I mean, it's yeah. We kind of. I knew when we started the band that like it was special to me and all of us, really. Like I think it was after years of doing bands and like failing in bands, I kind of felt like Restraining Order was going to be like my last hurrah, like my last like real like, all right, this is the last band I'm going to do that like I'm going to like really put a lot of effort into. So going in with that mindset, and like from the first practice, I remember just being like, damn, like I'm really stoked on these songs. We weren't really quite sure though if it was going to like translate to the scenes we're usually associated with, because I mean, we love like we love punk and fast hardcore more than anything, but we've always been kind of like, me and Keith and Kyle have always been kind of middle of the road hardcore kids who kind of just love everything. And so we end up just playing with bands of all styles. So when we started this band, that was clearly punk based, very like, no real like heaviness to us. We were kind of like unsure if we were going to be able to stick. Like we were worried we were going to be too punk for the hardcore kids and too hardcore for the basement punks and all that shit. Which I guess we kind of are, but luckily, we're able to fit in on all these bills we play now. So it's awesome. I'm really happy with where we are now.
Yeah, it's definitely an awesome thing to watch, because if I'm going to be honest, it normally wouldn't be like my first type of band to gravitate towards, because it's a little bit more on the punk side. But when I listen to Restraining Order, I don't it just sticks out to me. I'm like, wow, this wouldn't be like my first choice, but for some reason this band has me listen to the record on repeat, wanting to actually make it a point to see that band when I'm out at these fests, and it's always a good time too. So I definitely appreciate Restraining Order, and I'm happy to see the success that you guys are having. And I know a lot of you guys have like full-time jobs, and I kind of like the strategy of you guys doing these like regional tours, just like shorter dates, like flying stuff. I think that's really awesome that you guys are able to make that kind of stuff work. And I'm just curious, whose idea was that, and instead of trying to book like a full US, which is like a bigger task to take on.
Yeah, sure. I think, you know, like a lot of bands, the pandemic really like kind of fucked up our like, I hate using this word just because it sounds so pro, but like album cycle, you know, like we put our LP and we didn't really get to like do much off of it. I mean, we did more than a lot of bands did, I guess, around that time, but like I think we did like a bunch of Northeast shows and like FYA, and then like we did a tour of terror, which was like 2 weeks or something, which was awesome. But I think right now we're kind of in this like weird interperiod between our next LP, so we're kind of not trying to do a lot, but we're also trying to make up for all the places we haven't hit since the last record. So, you know, we're kind of like, instead of doing a full US, we're kind of just like, all right, let's just hit all these spots like California we haven't been to, in Texas, and like, you know, we did the Midwest tour last month. So I mean, ideally, I mean, we do have plans of doing longer tours. We can't announce them yet, but right now I think just like we're kind of just waiting until we have more music and like another full length to really like do a long tour.
And it's you know, cool that you're coming back to California, because if I remember correctly, what the last time you guys were out here was that for the New Age showcase?
Oh no, actually we played there the year after New Age. We played when we toured with Devil's Den. We played I think Santa Cruz and San Pedro.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now I remember that. I think Devil's Den. Okay, yeah. So
yeah,
it's definitely been a minute, but I'm happy that you guys are coming back. I'm stoked to see you guys again, especially out here on the West Coast. I'll be at the program date, because that's right by my house.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, so it should be fun. But it is crazy when you think about, right, the last record, This World Is Too Much, came out you know, tail end of 2019. Here we are about to hit the middle point of 2022. Did you want to put out a record sooner than you know, it being almost 3 years, or has the pandemic caused the delay? Because that seems like a really long time for like a newer hardcore band in between releases, especially after having so much success with that last record.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because like it sucks that we lost all that time and we didn't get to go as many places that we wanted to. But honestly, that first like 2 months of the pandemic, I was writing shit ton for Restraining Order. Like I probably wrote a half our next LP. So like having that time off really got me like motivated. So in a weird way, like I don't think we would have had a record if we were touring a lot, just because that's how we operate. We just don't have like the brain capacity to like write when we're touring. So yeah, I guess it's kind of like a win-lose situation, but yeah, it is kind of, I guess, yeah. So the record came out 2019. Hopefully our next record will come out this year, but it's I can't really look that far ahead right now. It might come out next year, so that'd be like a 4-year gap, which is crazy. It goes by so fast.
Yeah, when I think about 4 years, I'm like, that's like a whole run up through high school.
Yeah.
So that's wild. That's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about it in that terms. But then also like just the amount of bands that will have come and gone, and like the 4 years in between is also crazy to think about too.
Yeah, straight up. Like 4 years in hardcore, like that's like eras of hardcore history are like 4 years. You know what I mean? Like each wave of hardcore is like 4, 5, 6 years. So it's like, man, getting old, it's like time just like speeds the hell up. It's crazy.
It is crazy, but at least the last release is strong enough to hold up in my opinion, because to this day, like, I don't think that record has gone stale. Anytime that I listen to it, it's still awesome, and I'm stoked that you guys are still staying busy. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this European takeover that Triple B is doing. Restraining Order is a part of it. I think it's a really great lineup. I love that The Fight is getting out. Warfare is awesome. I wish they would do more. Dead Heat from California is going to be on it, and then also Magnitude from North Carolina. So I'm just curious to hear your thoughts about that.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be so much fun. It's literally all friends. We're all friends. Every band. Just like I love all those bands, and I love their music. Not just as people, but like I'll probably watch every band every night. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, we were supposed to go to Europe 2 years ago, and that got canceled. But it's kind of like a blessing in disguise because we get to do this like sick package tour now, and I think it's gonna be a blast. I mean, it's like 2 weeks. It's not too long. And we're gonna be with friends and going to a lot of places I've never been. So I'm really excited for it.
And in those situations, right, you're traveling internationally. Do you care more about like trying to just like soak up the fun of tour, or do you care to experience the culture of those countries that you're going to?
Oh yeah, I mean, I love like seeing shit, seeing sights, as much as we can. Yeah, I mean, I know this tour, I mean, not to get too inside, we're going to be all in one bus. Mm-hmm. I've never done a bus tour, so like I don't know how that works with like sightseeing and shit, but I'm assuming we'll be able to like journey around the cities we're in, around the venues and stuff. So I'm really excited to see sights and stuff.
I'm always curious like what the food situation is going to be like, because I'm not sure like if you are like vegan or anything like that, but I'm just curious like what kind of food is good out there, so I've never been out there.
Yeah, I mean, I went once a long time ago with my old band, and I've been vegetarian for about 12 years now, maybe longer, on and off, in vegetarian, vegan, kind of, mostly vegetarian. But yeah, I mean, most of the places I played when I was out there, this was in 2013, they were very like sympathetic to non-meat diets. Mm-hmm. And they also, I usually, in the places we played at least, it was common for them to feed us at the shows, which was awesome. Something Americans could learn to do, American promoters, not to put any more responsibility on them, but look into feeding bands, providing a place for them to stay. Like that's all pretty custom in Europe. So oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I remember being in like Zurich, and we went to this like backyard barbecue near the venue. Like I don't even know who it was, like whose house it was, but the promoter like walked us there, and it was like some of the best food I've ever had in my life. It was all vegan food, and it was insane. So hopefully we can do that again.
Now you got me thinking. I actually booked my first show. It's coming up in a couple days, and I have no food planned, no place for them to stay. So I'm like, wow, am I the worst promoter right now?
What's the show?
It's so there's this band Anxious from Connecticut. They're on tour. Oh, yeah. So they're on tour with Boston Manor, Higher Power, and Trash Boat. But it's their off day. So I hit up my friends in Anxious, and they're like, yo, like, let's do a show. But because I've been bugging them since the last time they came out to California for them to do a Last Straw set, because they have another band, Connecticut straight edge band Last Straw on Youngblood Records. I was like, dude, just do a couple songs and They didn't, but this time around they're like, yo, like let's just do a whole last straw show. So I'm like, all right, like let's do it. So it's like last straw and a bunch of local bands, Take It to Heart from Orange County, Firestarter from LA, Major Pain from Orange County. But then last minute, Higher Power, who's on that tour with Anxious, I guess they didn't have plans on their day off. So they're like, hey, is it possible for us to get on the show? I'm like, hell yeah, like let's do it. Let's add another band. So that's the
wild.
yeah. So that's the full lineup, you know, on a Monday night. So I'm hoping you know, people roll out, support the bands that are on tour, also the local bands as well. But yeah, I have no food plans or anything for them. So
nah,
yeah.
I mean, dude, you're not alone there. I mean that tour they're doing, like the real like the show, you know, the tour package shows that they're doing. I'm sure they're getting hooked up with buyouts and all that shit. So like one little off show was not going to hurt them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's cool that they're doing that off date with you.
I'm super stoked because it was just like this idea that kind of happened because I saw Anxious when they came through last time they were on tour with Knuckle Puck, and you know, those are my friends, and we were just talking at the show, and it just happened to come up in conversation, and it was just like, all right, cool, if you're serious, I'll make it happen. And then sure enough, you know, fast forward like a couple months later, here we are, the show's about to happen. So it's you know, it's something cool for me to be able to do, but also I'm just stoked for everybody that gets to see these bands and actually just, you know, have like a fun thing to do on a Monday night.
For sure.
But okay, well, that's awesome that you guys are going on this European takeover. Obviously, I'm sure there's interest in other countries. Is that something you would want to do in the future, like head to Japan or head out to Australia?
Absolutely. That's definitely the plan. I mean, we don't have any concrete plans right now, but like once we put out this new record, we're trying to hit as many spots as possible, because I'm not gonna say like I'm old, but like I'm definitely at an age where like I gotta, if I want to see these parts of the world, I gotta do it now, you know. So I would love to go to Japan, Australia, anywhere, you know, anywhere that'll have us.
Yeah, I think that would be super sick, because I'm sure you have fans like out in those countries, and just to be able to travel there and play your music that you created, you here at home, and play that across the world. I'm sure that would be such a cool feeling.
Oh, for sure. I'm always like so humbled by how many people like hit us up online and stuff from wherever, from anywhere. Yeah, it's so cool that they take interest in this band that we do in Western Massachusetts. It's very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's definitely awesome to be able to watch from the sidelines and you know, see you guys have great success. And like I said, I've been able to see you in, you know, California and Florida, out in the Northeast as well. I was there when you guys played SWB, which was cool.
That's
out
right.
there in Wilkes-Barre. So yeah, I got to see you guys in a couple different places, and it's always a good time whenever I feel like the best way to describe like a Restraining Order live set is just fun, like all around.
For sure. I mean, we're definitely the inclusionary band, you know, like we just want everyone to fucking come up front and just fucking have a blast, you know. I've been in so many bands where like everyone gets their ass beat and stuff, you know. Like I don't have to prove that anymore, that I can like play a breakdown. Like Restraining Order is the band. I just want people to like jump off shit and like slam into each other and stuff. I like when bodies are packed up front, just in front of the stage. Like I've played enough horseshoes in my life, so I love being the fun band.
Okay, and I'm curious if you can remember, you guys played a show in New York with No Pressure, which is you know, insanely popular band. It was definitely a cool lineup, Method of Doubt, Rule Them All. But I'm just curious if you can remember, what was that set like for you guys? Because I always find that those No Pressure shows always bring like an interesting crowd, just because of, you know, the popularity of the members in that band.
Yeah, oh dude, that show was a blast. It was a fucking blast. I mean, that was the first time we've played Manhattan, like New York City proper. And Going in, yeah, I wasn't really sure what to expect. Just because, I don't know. Like I didn't go in expecting it to be like a great set. But I mean, with a lineup like that, it brought out a lot of hardcore kids and like a lot of kids that probably may have never heard of us, but people were just fucking having a blast. Like we had a great reaction. That show was awesome, man. I would totally play like more shows like that if we were offered them.
And do you ever get nervous to kind of play something that's like, obviously like there's definite hardcore ties there, but obviously they're not a hardcore band. So like I said, it could be a little bit different. Like you guys are playing that fest, which is like, an interesting lineup, not a hardcore fest, but there's hardcore bands on it, but something like that. Do you get nervous, or are you just happy to have that opportunity?
Yeah, no, I don't really get nervous. I get more, I'm if anything, I'm excited to play to a new crowd. Because Restraining Order, like I'm self-aware enough to know that Restraining Order is a band that could appeal to people, especially in the fest world. Like I don't think we're that far off from a lot of those headliners. We're a little more aggressive, but like, I mean, a lot of that world, like a lot of those bands, I don't really know. Even like some of the headliners, like I look at that lineup and I'm like, I know this band's big, but like I never really like listened to them. Like I know, like obviously bands like Hot Water Music and Down Some Souls and shit. I love those bands, but like some of the others, I'm like, yeah, I don't really get nervous anymore about playing shit like that. If anything, I get more stoked. It's nice to change it up.
Yeah, and Restraining Order definitely does have that sound that kind of like appeal to people outside of hardcore. The people that are maybe like loosely tied to it, or maybe know of like some of the bigger bands like Turnstile, Terror, Rotting Out, that type of stuff. I feel like you guys could easily bring those kind of people in, just because you have that sound that wouldn't turn off a lot of people on the outside.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, we just like I said, we just try to be inclusionary. Like we'll play. I mean, obviously there's some bills like we turn down. If it, we're not going to play probably with like some like crazy new metal shit or something, but like. I was about to say deathcore, but we toured with like Kublai Khan once, and that was awesome. Like, it was so sick. Like those guys. Well, one, those guys are great, and like two, like we would play our set, and then like kids in Kublai Khan shirts would like come up and buy Restraining Order merch. Like, I thought that was awesome. Like, it reminded me of being a kid, like, because I liked metalcore and stuff when I was in high school, and then I would go to like a punk show or something, and I'd be like, this is awesome too. Like, I don't know. Like, now that I think about it, we'll play with like pretty much anyone.
Yeah, no, I think it's smart, because you never really know who you're gonna attract or who you're gonna influence or who's gonna like your band. You just gotta go out there, do your thing, and kind of just keep it moving.
For sure.
Okay, well, I'm happy to hear that Restraining Order is staying busy. You guys got a lot of cool stuff coming up, which I'm excited for. Happy to be able to see you on the West Coast. But want to ask you about some more of your Gate 4 studio stuff. I'm just curious, where does that name come from for the studio?
Oh, so I moved into the spot I'm in now. I moved into about 6 years ago. And I was trying to come up with a name for the studio. And I literally just walked outside, like, the building. And across the street is the Eastern States Exposition Center, which is where we have this huge New England fair there called the Big E that people come, like, all over the place for. And So there's a bunch of gates, and I was right outside of gate 4. So I was like, oh, there you go, gate 4 recording studio. Like I didn't put much thought into it, but then I found out I didn't realize there's a studio in Philadelphia called Studio 4, and it's that dude Will Yip records there. So I was like, this was probably like a year later. I was like, oh fuck, like that might, like, I hope people don't think I'm like ripping that dude off or something like that. It totally wasn't intentional. Like I was like, oh man, another Will that records, and like his studio has 4 in it. I don't know. I felt a little stupid after I found that out, but it is what it is. Yeah,
you weren't like you didn't really even think about that. That was just something that kind of came out afterwards. So yeah, yeah, that's fine. Things happen. Parallel thinking, kind of,
Yeah, I'm too stubborn to change it. Like, I was like, fuck it. But I remember like realizing that, and he had been making records for a while at that point. So I was like, oh, I don't really have any like weight in this. But he's clearly doing much better than I am. So I'm sure he'd be fine with it. I don't think there's any confusion.
Yeah, he's been at it for a while, but there's some records that you recorded that I'm like, okay, this is going to be looked at in the history books of hardcore, whenever we're long and gone. So,
man, that's very kind of you to say. I that's why I do it, to be honest. Well, not to like further my ego or something, but like I like looking at recording records as like a history. Not necessarily like making history, like, oh, this is gonna fucking change the world, but like that's kind of why I got into it. It's just like I want to document shit. I want, like, if I do this band for like a month or something, I want like a recording of it, and we can look back on it, and we can find it on Discogs, and we can laugh, that kind of shit. I love that shit. I love just having a way to like just document. Whatever's going on at the moment.
I think it's definitely really important because especially these days with the ability to record basically anything, because everyone has a cell phone in their pocket, so you just pull that out. These days, the most smartphones have a decent camera, and I know people like to give Androids crap, but I feel like they're way past that. Like I own an Android, which is like, it's fine. It has a really nice camera, but it's like, yeah, like the ability to do stuff like that, and then to even, take pictures, whatever. I feel like it's really important to try to preserve as much as we can, because obviously back in the day, people did, but not as much as today, and in my opinion, and I get that maybe some things are just better left undocumented, special memories, whatever. But I think it's awesome for anyone who's taking their time to do their part and just preserve any little piece of this hardcore history, because it's always fun to be able to look back, and you never know who's gonna want to dig into the archives and maybe discover something that they weren't even aware of. So I always think it's really important for for anyone who's even interested in it to start doing it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely, like you said, there's some things that shouldn't be documented. And I totally agree. But yeah, I love history. Like, I mean, that's actually, ironically, I went to school for history, not reporting. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's my way of trying to justify me going to college for 4.5 years to get a history degree.
No, well, at least you got the degree. I dropped out of college, I think like maybe like 2.5 years in. I was like, I'm over this.
I have this tendency to, like, if I start something, I gotta finish it. So like at the time I was like, fuck, if I don't do this now, I'm never gonna do it. So, but like 2.5 years in, I was on autopilot. You know what I mean? Like I just did the bare minimum to get by and somehow graduated. So I totally understand that.
Okay. And I'm just curious if you remember, you worked on the Human Work LP from the band Warren, yep. Which that record is awesome. on From Within Records. If you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, go listen to that record. But for that experience, can you talk about anything that you can remember?
Yeah. That was done in like, I want to say October or November, probably October in 2020. So really like kind of all of us kind of in the middle of like the total bullshit of the world at that period. So we weren't really all sure at all if like shows were going to come back or anything. So it was awesome being able to work on that because it just felt like I mean, I don't know how the other guys felt, but like I remember just like being in the studio and just like not thinking about all the like nonsense that was going on in the world with COVID and presidential elections and all this other shit. So yeah, they came up for a weekend. We tracked it. It was literally like Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and the record was done. And then I mixed it. Obviously, that took a little while, but yeah, that was awesome. I was really stoked to work on that, and I'm pretty sure Dan asked me to record it like maybe like a year before that. So like way before any of the COVID shit happened. So I remember being really happy that I was able, it came together.
Yeah, no, that's cool that he reached out that far in advance and still wanted to work with you, because that's cool. Because things change, people get different interests, but the fact that it's still a year later that they were still interested and wanted to work with you, I think that's really awesome.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, and then you worked with a newer band, Broken Vow. They just put out a split with this Canadian band, Set Straight. But I was just curious if you could talk about that experience, because I'm a huge fan of Broken Vow. Those are friends of mine. Just a younger crop of kids who are doing cool shit in their area.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're a bunch of younger Western Mass and Connecticut dudes, and I think Tommy reached out, and he kind of does a lot of recording on his own, so he had like demos and stuff of the songs already, and just needed someone to help him record a whole band, I guess. And yeah, it came out awesome. They're really really dialed in, and I think we did that. So we did the split. I've done 2 sessions with them. We did that split, I think, last fall. I think like November maybe. Mm-hmm. And I had them back in earlier this year for their One Scene Unity comp song, which is also sick. But yeah, it's awesome. I'm stoked that there's like a younger band from the area, just because it was really bleak for a while. There wasn't any like younger bands, and I always tell them that like they got to keep it going, just because like someday I'm gonna be old and like not want to do hardcore anymore. So like, not what I mean. So like, I'm glad that they can like be the torchbearers. Yeah, they're all good kids.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They have like the ear, and then they're really talented. So it's awesome to see them come up over the last couple of years and to see where they're headed, because I know they have a lot of awesome things planned. And yeah, I'm stoked for them and for you guys to have a newer band like that in your area. Yeah,
it's fucking awesome. Although I will say I was bummed that they're not a straight edge band. I was like, I went in recording them thinking they were a straight edge band. And they're like, oh yeah, we're not. Like, just like a few of us are. I was like, oh, fuck. Not that matters, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, I get it. Sometimes that will sway me to like a band a little more if they are a straight edge band.
It really does not matter. Yeah, it was just like a light ball busting that I have. But yeah, they're great. I hope they fucking blow the fuck up. I really do.
Okay. And as far as anything else, music wise, are you doing anything or even trying to do anything outside of Restraining Order and Maniac?
Let's see. Oh, we just started recording the Sentinel LP. That should be out maybe this year. It seems to be moving pretty quick. Cool thing with Sentinel is it's like, you know, even though we're spread across like 3 or 4 different states, we all can kind of like work on it at our own pace and like different, you know, kind of work on it by ourselves, if that makes any sense. Like, so I think that will come together pretty quick. Other than that, got a few little things in the works, but nothing really like finished yet. Really just, I mean, we're working on the new Restraining Order LP right now, so that's kind of like my main goal is to get that done soon. It's pretty close to being done. Just gotta like put some guitars and some vocals on it. So that's kind of my main focus right now, getting that done.
Okay. And if anyone wants to record with you, how should they get in contact with you?
They can find my email, or my Instagram page, which has my email on it. Unfortunately, they'll probably have to wait a while for me to book right now. Just not necessarily because the studio's booked, but just everything Restraining Order is doing for the next like 3 or 4 months. It's just going to make it really hard for me to record bands. So feel free to hit me up, but I wouldn't expect to get in the near future.
For sure.
So
all right, well it's out there. You know, hopefully people reach out. But
yeah.
But before we go, is there anything else you would like to say?
Nah, not really. Just come out to these Restraining Order shows coming up, and come hang out. And like I said, feel free to hit up the studio. Yeah, that's really it. Thanks for having me on, man. This is great.
No problem. Thank you for your time. I definitely appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back soon.